Good morning, friends. I hope you're all doing well. I got two voice memos. Yeah, I was just listening to some voice memos, so bear with me. There we go. Oh, hot mic, hot mic. All right, that sounds good. Anyways, hope you're all doing well. Hope this finds you excited and giddy for the weekend that we're having. It's a little wet outside. I got out there this morning myself, and spring is on the way. I think that's what rain means in March. Anyways, guitar repairs today. Joey had to head up to the hardware store and pick up a couple of carpentry type lock washer deals. Let me move this over. All right, there we go. Yeah, so we've got some guitar repairs going on, and knock on wood, I think he found the correct washer that he needed, because he was down here pretty quickly reporting that everything was in good working order. So that's good when you kind of hit it out of the park first try. So we're happy that repair is done. And the madness is upon us, friends. It is March. My goodness gracious. If you watched any basketball, which you probably should have, if you didn't, you should have, between Thursday and Friday night, my goodness gracious, that Sweet 16 was nail biter basketball, and it was fun to watch. We have a 15th seed that has never been into the Elite Eight. We've got Miami, who has never made it into the Elite Eight before, and they're both ready to rock and roll. So we are shaping up for some fantastic games in the next couple of nights, and I am so grateful for anybody and everybody that worked to put this tournament on, for all of those athletes that showed up to play some ball. Like, my goodness gracious, it has been remarkable and heartwarming and hopeful to watch, and I'm super grateful for it. Anyways, today I want to talk about boundaries. Another wonderful little tweet that came out, that I was so grateful for, because it instantly put me in mind of some stuff. Made some notes, listened to those. Boundaries are certainly imperative, if we're going to talk about long-term success and recovery and sobriety. I personally believe, if you watched any of the 12-step videos that I made, we certainly hint around about these boundaries and how we come about them, how we learn them, how we figure them out. Once we start into the introspective process of healing and getting into sobriety, the deep work really starts to take place, man. We start to learn about ourselves. We start to learn about some of the damage that we've done, some of the harm done to others, where we've, crossed boundaries with other people, where we've not put the correct boundaries in place for ourselves, etc., etc. We also start to learn that we have strength. We have the power of choice in our lives. We have the ability to make wonderfully healthy calls in our own lives to move ourselves forward. Maybe we stumble a little bit and fall backward, and we recognize instantly that we should have had boundaries in place. I don't want to kind of, beat a drum here, but at the end of the day, it's important to recognize that this is a topic worth discussing. And I don't know that I'm, really prepared or wise enough to kind of weigh in, save just my own experiences. So, to that end, when I first came into sobriety and I first started to hit a couple of meetings on a regular basis, in previous videos I've spoken about the idea that I had kind of, gone back and forth, previous to the Christmas of '97, when or '96, January '97 is my sobriety date, but Christmas of '96 I had kind of flopped back and forth to meetings a little bit and tried and failed, and it wasn't until January '97 that I really started to hit my stride and really start to put some 24 hours under my belt, day at a time. And it was during one of these experiences that I was talking with a friend, And I had said to this friend that I had started to go to some meetings, and he was heading over to the beer store to buy some beer. I was like, I'm not really down for that. I'm trying to get away from that, move in a different direction. I've been going to some meetings, and I don't necessarily remember the exact quote, but I remember the moment well, because allow me to paraphrase when I tell you that his response was something like, "Oh yeah, I remember I was dating this chick one time, and she was having a hard time with my drinking. So I hit a few of those meetings myself. I dried out for a little while, but I'm doing okay now." He was not doing okay. But it's responses like that that we can certainly expect from some of our friends and the circles that we keep in those moments, right? We are certainly going to find out quickly that some of the company we had been keeping, or we have been keeping, or we currently are keeping, are not the healthiest people themselves. And it's certainly not for us to judge, but it's for us to recognize this and set boundaries. Speaking more to that end, this individual that I'm referencing was part of a bigger friend circle that we had. This friend circle was kind of the end all and be all of who we were as a young family at the time. We entertained them for New Year's Eve parties, for football parties, for hockey parties, for any reason. Well, I used to love to say, if somebody was getting married or somebody was getting buried, we had a reason to party. And that's basically the day-to-day function of Sarah and I, and our house and our household, and this particular friend circle that we kept at that point in time. Two of them in particular were a big reason why I got sober. These two friends, who had never really knew me as a drunk previous to this, called me out for one specific party in my behavior, and that was a large factor that weighed into motivating me to finally get sober. Eventually, this friend circle kind of dissipated, and that had everything to do with me getting sober. They continued to party, they continued to connect, they continued to function as a group. Obviously, the lifestyle that Sarah and I were choosing at that time wasn't conducive to the party atmosphere, so we were no longer part of that group. And it just fell away. Again, recognizing the need to put boundaries in place, not just for my young family, but for my sobriety. Certainly not the lifestyle that I enjoy today. Today, as I've discussed in previous videos, there's plenty of alcohol and celebration and revelry that happens in this household, but I've put 25 years of clean, sober living under my belt to be able to function in this atmosphere. Back then, I did not have those tools, and to avoid them at all possible costs was the order of the day. Boundaries. In many ways, it kind of breaks my heart to report that we're not members of that friendship circle today. That friendship circle has certainly fallen apart and fallen to the wayside. Many of them have gone their own separate ways. Some have taken, the same path as Sarah and I, and they've moved to different cities, moved to different towns, started new lives. And some of them are still exactly in that exact same place, in that exact same town, in that exact same neighborhood, doing the exact same things. And that's heartbreaking to consider, but we all grow. One of the things I've liked to hold dear is the idea that there's a reason and there's a season, and that speaks to friendships in general. Sometimes there's a reason for a friendship. Sometimes friendships last for a season, and we take from them what we can and move forward. I've spoken at length about my need for brutal honesty in my life. I was a terrible bullshitter when I was a very young man. I was relentlessly full of shit, told stories, exaggerated, and the list goes on and on. most of what I shared with people were fabrications about the life that I imagined I might have or I could have. And to that end, I was less than believable most times. By the time I had met Sarah, I had been called out on this, and I had kind of flipped to the other side of it. And I was brutally honest, to the point of embarrassment, to the point of shock and awe for shock and awe sake. And that was damaging to my relationship with Sarah as well, as she kind of expressed to me the need for me to be more discreet. That was something that I had to grow with. Certainly, the person I was still very much full of shit. I talked out of my ass a lot. It wasn't specifically exaggerated bullshit dishonesty as much as it was just empty, pointless BS. That noted, by the time I hit Alcoholics Anonymous and got sober, it was very important for me to start really putting pen to paper when it came to telling the truth about myself, my life, my experiences, and how I would, grow in sobriety. This created a lot of boundaries as well. This is a large reason why the friendship circle that we had at the time eventually kind of fell away. Not a lot of people were prepared for the brutal honesty that I had to take on in my life. And as we've grown as a family, as we've grown as a couple, this has very much been the theme. There's not a lot of deep, connected friendships that we have. Not a lot of people are prepared for the level of honesty and truth that I live with every day. I'm very vocal about a lot of these things in my life. I'm very committed to the process of growth and healing. And certainly I make efforts daily, and I'm getting better at being able to dial it back, for lack of a better term. That noted, I'm not prepared all of the time to sacrifice honesty and truthfulness for a fleeting friendship, if that makes any sense. So this is how I live. This is how I stay sober a day at a time. I'm certainly growing. I'm certainly getting better. But again, these are the boundaries that I have and that I have to employ on a daily basis to stay sober. These are the boundaries that I keep. This is my line in the sand. This is who I am. For the most part, I think, we certainly enjoy some friendships. We enjoy, the people in our lives, and they know who we are. They know who I am. And there's a level of respect that certainly comes along with living the lifestyle that I live. And sometimes that's a respectful distance. And I appreciate that. I certainly appreciate that, and I bear nobody any ill will. Bluntly, I'm a lot to take, and I get that. I understand that. But those who stick around long enough get a chance to see the very loving, loyal, passionate person that I can be as well. The depth of love that I'm capable of, the depth of compassion and concern that I'm capable of. And to that end, I'm super lucky to have those people that stick around in my life to this day. So I don't know if that makes any sense. I'll certainly watch it back, and hopefully my little take on boundaries is something that benefits somebody else out there, man. So Saturday, have a great weekend, guys. Keep crushing it. It works if we work it one day at a time. I love you, man. And I am women too. I love you all. I love all you guys. I really do. And I am cheering you on. So keep crushing it, guys. Take care. Bye.